If we can experience empathy for the worst of characters, I feel like we're going somewhere in the world.
That's actually a great test. Can I feel empathy for your villain?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I feel like that question also gets across, because I feel like in certain genres, the villain can be sort of a caricature, and if you approach writing your villain with that question in mind, sometimes it can help with not making them into a caricature and making them into a well-rounded, I
Yeah,
guess,
well, you talked
character.
about
Mhm.
messy characters at the beginning of this.
Mhm.
So, like, tell us about messy characters. Any tips for writers about creating really good, complex, messy characters?
It has to do with how you write their interiority, but it also has to do with, plausibility, and I think a lot of people have the potential to be a messy character given different circumstances, given different, um, I guess, as a different setting, a different upbringing, a different backstory. So I think that writing a messy character that we can empathize with sometimes has to do with whether you're giving them the space to be plausible in that messiness, whether you're giving them the space for things to their actions to make sense, their motivations to make sense. Um, and I think if we have that, then you've written the perfect messy character.
That's actually a great prompt to write a scene. Well, first, to think about what it would take to make your main character messy. And then, how do you give them something like that in microcosm in one scene? That's a nice thing to think about.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a great prompt.
And like, what you should think about all the people that you know that are just super uptight, and then what sets them off. Like, I like to do that. So I think it's like a microcosm, but it can lead to different places for your character, which is super interesting.
I think it's also I also like to think of it from a very different like sort of prompt, but also like the snowball effect of like the very mild mannered person and the last thing that sort of like sets them off that maybe isn't the biggest thing that's happened to them today or this week or this month, but it's the one thing that got them there. And again, I feel like it can be it does have to do with that voice again, because I think you can have a very neat character and the voice of the manuscript doesn't quite give you that sense still. Because I think we can get lost in the voice sometimes. And I guess if you step back, you're like, actually, that was a pretty neat character, but I still was very compelled by this. There should
Yeah,
always be tension. I think that's what keeps people reading. That's what keeps
yeah. I think,
storytelling moving
yeah,
forward.